Bond. James Bond.
In case I don't see ya. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Did we just become best friends?
Yup! Sublime!
You keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
Tear me apart, Lisa!
But mostly I hate the way I don't hate you. Not even close. Not even a little bit. Not even at all.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
Hi friends, and welcome to another episode of You Haven't Seen That? A movie discussion podcast where we introduce our friend Ben to movies he should have seen a long time ago. I'm your host, Amanda.
I'm Geoff.
And I'm Ben.
And today we are discussing, well, first, let me just say, we're starting, Amanda hasn't seen that month.
Right.
So,
I should have done the intro. Hi, friends.
So the next couple movies will be where Geoff and Ben introduce their friend Amanda to movies that she hasn't seen. Anyway, so today we are talking about Back to the Future, which I know is shocking, but we've talked about this a couple times. And stick around until the end. We will be doing our top 4 things that we would bring back in time with us to the 50s.
Can I just say before Geoff jumps in with his Back to the Future information that last year when we did Geoff Hasn't Seen That Month, my mom was looking at the podcast episodes and not listening to them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think she listens to some of them, but she was just like looking at what was released. And she's like, you never saw Mrs. Doubtfire? I'm like, no. I'm like, that's an all-time favorite of mine. That was our Geoff Hasn't Seen That Month. So very clear here, too, that Ben has seen Back to the Future.
Yes.
Ben has.
Back to the Future. 80s teenager Marty McFly is accidentally sent back in time to 1955, inadvertently disrupting his parents' first meeting and attracting his mother's romantic interest. Marty must repair the damage to history by rekindling his parents' romance and, with the help of his eccentric inventor friend Doc Brown, return to 1985. Released in July of 1985, Independence Day weekend, the number 1 song in the U.S., Sussudio by Phil Collins.
Hey. Larry
King Live recently debuted on CNN. The Lakers beat the Celtics for the NBA title. And in relevant news to Amanda, Tinkerbell first flew over Walt Disney World at night. That she now does every night. Minus barring wind. Barring wind, she does it every night now. Directed by Robert Zemeckis. This is also Universal Pictures and Amblin Entertainment Pictures, so guess who's involved? Mr. Steven Spielberg himself. This movie stars Michael J. Fox, Christopher Lloyd, Crispin Glover, and Leah Thompson. This movie had a $19 million budget, and it grossed $398 million at the global box office, so more than 20x a return. This movie opened number 1, unseating Pale Rider. It was the number 1 movie for 3 weekends in a row before losing it to National Lampoon's European Vacation. It then retook the number 1 spot for 9 weekends in a row. And then there was a break after that, and then was the number 1 movie on Thanksgiving weekend. This movie was in theaters for about a year, and it finished, shockingly, number 1 at the box office in 1985.
It was in the theaters for a year? That's insane.
Yeah. This is like was like Titanic style.
And now once the Netflix Warner Brothers merger goes through, we're going to get a day of release in the theaters.
Don't talk. We're not going to talk about it, Ben.
I know. By the time this episode comes out, that story could have a lot of twists and turns from where we are.
Oh, yeah. Just wait. Over like, what, a month or so? Yeah, right. This movie was received well critically at the time, not just commercially. It had a 93% on Rotten Tomatoes, 87 on Metacritic, and an A cinema score. It is now heralded as one of the most celebrated science fiction movies of all time, one of the best movies of all time, one of the most influential movies of all time. The list of accolades go on and on and on. This movie was nominated for 4 Academy Awards, and it won 1 of them. It won Best Sound Editing, and it was nominated for Best Original Screenplay, where it lost to Witness. It was nominated for Best Original Song, which it lost to White Nights, by where the song was called Say You, Say Me, I believe it was by.
Oh yeah, that's a good song.
Yeah,
but not as good as Power of Love.
No, not as good as Power of Love. And it was also nominated for Best Sound, Best Overall Sound, which it lost to Out of Africa, which won Best Picture that year. It was also nominated for 4 Golden Globe nominations, and it did not win any of the Golden Globes. It was nominated for Best Picture, Musical or Comedy, Best Actor in a Musical or Comedy, Best Screenplay, and Best Song. Lost all of those. And it also had a ride at Universal called Back to the Future, The Ride, which ran from 1991 to 2007. And this is the first of 3 movies in the Back to the Future franchise.
They still have the DeLorean at Universal, if that helps.
I guess it counts. Sure, we'll go with that. It's there in spirit. And hey, if you look at any of the merch and stuff, it's still there technically.
Yeah, they do have a lot of Back to the Future merch still.
Yeah.
Great, thank you. So, Ben, why don't you tell us your history with this movie that you've seen?
I have seen. I think I first watched this. I know I first watched this as a kid with my parents. I don't know what age, maybe 9, 10, somewhere in there. And then I've seen it several times since. I've caught it on TV a few times, so I've caught bits and pieces of it. I haven't seen the movie start to finish in quite a while, but I have seen the musical twice in the last couple of years. I saw it, which is a very faithful adaptation, for good or for bad. And there are a couple things though when I watched back because I was now at this point the musical is a little fresher in my head than the movie. So when I watched the movie again, I was like, oh yeah, and things that were not included in the musical, which we'll get into. But I saw it on my own, and then a few months later, well, not on my own. I saw it with a friend, but not. The few months later, I took students to it, so I saw it twice within a short time span before it closed on Broadway last year. So yeah, I've seen it several times. I've actually never seen either of the sequels, so I've seen bits of Back to the Future 2, and I've never seen Back to the Future 3.
Thank you. Geoff?
So this is a crazy one. I've only seen this movie once, and I very vividly remember it. It was May of 2020. We were all locked down in COVID, and Amanda was on a Zoom actually with all of you guys. She was chatting with all you guys. I was sitting in the living room watching Back to the Future.
Why?
I don't know why.
Why
didn't want to hang out with us.
I don't know why. It was weird.
She was like, I don't want anything to do with the shenanigans going on that call.
No idea why. I was like, oh, I'm just going to watch Back to the Future instead. Don't know why, but I did. And that was weirdly the first time I had seen Back to the Future ever. And it was the last time I'd seen Back to the Future. So I was excited to revisit it for this episode of the podcast.
Great. Thank you. And yeah, I somehow had never seen this. I don't really know how or why. I almost watched it in, what is it, 2015? Is that
sounds right?
The date that
When
they
go
traveled to in the second movie?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember everyone making a big deal about it, and I was like, maybe I should finally watch that movie. Of course, I didn't even realize that was actually the second movie at the time. But yeah, it's just forever evaded me, and sometimes things just hit a point and you're like, well, I haven't watched it this long, like may as well just not watch it, I guess.
It happens.
Yeah, but you know, I was actually excited. There were a couple times probably within the past year or two that I wanted to watch this movie, but I was like, no, it's on our list. We're going to get to it. I'm going to save it for the podcast. So now I have seen it. Geoff, why don't you give us your score?
Oh, I didn't want to go first. Okay. So the first time I saw this movie, I remember vividly thinking, I was like, this movie's just fine. I was like, I get it. But, you know, this movie's just okay. This second time, though, something clicked for me that made me really like it a lot more the second time around. Maybe it's just the movie magic of it all. Maybe it is just looking at the fun this movie is having and the excitement and the originality of it and the way it messes with time and the performances. Just something about this movie clicked for me the second time around that I really, really dug. And I can't wait to watch it again. I'm going to give Back to the Future a Let's go with a 4.5.
All right. And what about you, Ben?
This is an all-timer for me. This is a top 10 movie of all time. So just like Mrs. Doubtfire, it is getting a 5 out of 5, which is very rare for me to assign on the podcast. But I love everything about this movie. I love the 50s part of it. I love the time travel. I'm a huge time travel fan when they go to the past, not when they go to the future, which I think we've discussed on this podcast before. And I don't mean they, meaning Marty and Doc. I just mean in fiction. I like time travel to the past, not the future. Love it, love it, love it. So yeah, this is a 5 out of 5 movie for me.
Great. So for me, I think that I would like this better on a second watch because I think I had expectations about what happens in this movie just based off of things that I've seen and heard throughout the years that didn't actually end up happening. So it's like I was almost a little disappointed by something I didn't even know about, which is odd. But I get it. I get why it has, stayed in the culture for as long as it has and why it's so beloved. I'm giving it a 3.75.
All right. That's good. That's a good rating there. All right. So with that, Back to the Future is tied for 5th this season with How to Train Your Dragon and Black Swan. Incredible.
That's right.
It does feel right.
I don't know how I feel about that, but
but the movies it's behind in our overall rankings: Inception, Good Will Hunting, The Apartment, and Lilo and Stitch.
Again, I don't know how I feel about that.
Just accept it's not number 1, Ben.
Number 1 for me.
Number one in his heart. Exactly. No, this movie's a blast.
And I also would like to give The Power of Love a 7 out of 5 for movie song.
It's a great movie song.
That's like
played it the one time though, right?
No, but I think it's truly like my favorite 80s song. Like, period.
Really good song.
It's a good song. I was a little surprised they pulled it out right at the beginning. I was like,
yeah. And they played it on the Packers Cowboys playoff game when Jordan Love was going crazy. Power of Love, baby. What did you think happened that didn't, or what did happen that didn't? You didn't think?
So I thought that this movie was more of like Marty and Doc time traveling multiple times and just kind of going on like time traveling adventures. I kind of likened it to like the TV show Rick and Morty, which is like very similar, but I had no idea that it was literally just Marty time traveling back, spending the entire movie in that time period, and then, time traveling again. I'm just going to say it. I wanted more Doc. Like, really, I was a little sad about the lack of Doc.
Well, if you see the musical, there's a completely unnecessary Act 2 opener with Doc singing. It is. I mean, let me just say real quick, because I don't want to talk about the musical a lot because it's not a musical I like very much. So it is a very, very faithful adaptation. They do not have the Libyans.
Wow.
but other than that, it is a pretty faithful adaptation. But Act 2 starts, and they do Power of Love, and they do Back in Time, and they do Earth Angel and Johnny Be Good. And it's only a matter of time, which is like the that's the underscoring music in a lot of that. Dun 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 dun. But Act 2, you know how Act 2 songs, like the openers to Act 2, tend to be like kind of throwaway, like, oh, if you are still in the bathroom, you're not really going to miss anything.
Right.
So Act 2 starts with a song called 21st Century, and it's like a futuristic Doc and all these robotic type dancers, and it's the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
Oh my gosh.
So if you want more Doc, you can get it. You can get his opening Act 2 song in the musical.
Well, from what I understand, I think there's more Doc in the second movie.
That's probably true.
So it at least feels like that from the way they teased it.
Well, I think Doc became kind of like the breakout character too, so they probably, picked it up for the second movie.
Absolutely. Yeah. Also, the Libyans is such a weird plot line. Like,
oh yeah,
like having him steal plutonium from
very specific, a very specific, nation of people.
And then
what they do in the musical is that he gets like plutonium poisoning, and that's how he dies. And then he but instead of getting Marty warns him to like wear something more protective.
Gotcha.
Got it.
Yeah, I think that kind of covers the tracks well enough.
Yeah, you don't need the Libyans thing really.
No.
I was gonna say then why does Marty go back in time? Because in the movie, Marty goes back in time because he's trying to escape. But in the musical, if he's from poisoning, is it just like I need to go back in time to save Doc?
Gosh, now you're gonna put me on the spot here.
I'm so sorry for derailing this conversation. We're gonna bring it right back, everybody. We're gonna bring this right back to the movie in a minute.
I'm trying to remember what the Oh, okay, yeah. So when loading the plutonium, Doc is afflicted by acute radiation poisoning. Marty jumps in the car to get medical help, but accidentally goes 88 miles per hour.
Oh, okay. All right. That makes sense.
So I was like, I don't remember a reason. And I guess there isn't really a reason. It's just like an accident.
He just sped a little too fast.
Yeah.
By a little too fast, I mean a lot too fast.
I think though, the thing I have to say, like, one of the many things I love about this movie, but it is so inventive.
It's so inventive.
Like something that wasn't, based on anything, wasn't, and I know that was more common back then for big franchise movies than it is now, obviously. But like, just like the amount of like factors they had to consider or things they had to think about, and how being in 1955 would impact 1985 and the clock tower. And like, they drop not so subtle hints at everything, but like everything's connected, and I think over time it seems like, well, obviously, but like you think like probably like your first time seeing that in 1985, like there had to have been like there weren't, I feel like movies weren't that inventive in their plotting back then.
No, agreed. It's so cool. It's such a great idea. And I know this is one of the movies that has molded the idea of time travel and things affecting the future for a lot of pieces of media today. Like this is the influential point. And I think the way it's done in this movie is so cool with the ideas about like, him disappearing or when the payoff. I think the biggest thing for this movie, the biggest like turning point for me in the movie, because I kind of was in the same camp as Amanda until the ending and maybe the last like 20 to 30 minutes, they nailed this ending so well. And when you jump ahead to the future and you see like the different ways it's affected and the effects and stuff with the idea of the guitar or Marty not knowing how to play guitar, him disappearing from the photo, all of that is so inventive and so
even little
cool.
Things like Twin Pines becoming,
yes.
One Pine Mall or like
that was
like
one of
all those little details that have become iconic, but were so clever when you think about it back then.
Oh, it was so cool. I made a note of that too. I where did I write this down? I definitely noted. I was like, okay, reminder to self: look for the name of the mall. Oh yeah, here it is. Look for name of mall at end of movie. Is it Twin Pines? And then sure enough, my last note in the movie is can confirm Lone Pines Mall. I was like, oh, that is such a cool detail. And that is the starting point to everything kind of shaping out the rest of the movie. It's so good.
Yeah.
And incredibly fun too. I think this movie doesn't take itself too seriously. And it is honestly just yes, it is a sci-fi movie, but the heart of it is like a high school romance movie.
Yeah.
Too, which is
between a kid and his mom.
No,
just kidding.
Yikes. Wild stuff there.
It's not something I was expecting.
And I also loved
again, not to keep knocking back to the musical, but there's a whole song in the musical about that. That's like a very doo-woppy kind of.
That's one of those things I'm like, don't remind me. Don't remind me that this is happening, please. This is just weird.
That's where I think like Michael J. Fox just sells it. Like
Yes.
he you know, because that has such potential to be real creepy. You know,
Mhm.
like, and I'm not saying it's not to some degree a little creepy, but like I feel like the fact that it's played for such laughs and that it generally doesn't make you like feel sick, it just makes you kind of laugh at the
Mhm.
situation, like is a testament to how Michael J. Fox plays it.
Twice in my notes, I wrote MJF is a dreamboat twice in a 15, 20-minute span. And he really does such a good job in being the central catalyst to this movie. There are a lot of times, especially early on, where it's like he's riding the skateboard or playing the guitar. It's like, oh, he's so cool in kind of like a sarcastic way. But he is. Like, that is, if you're a teenager, your dream is to be Marty McFly.
Oh yeah.
Minus maybe not being popular or whatever, but in school itself. But fine, Marty McFly in the 50s. But yeah, he is like the golden god in terms of what you want to aspire to be. Super talented, gets the girl, put through all kinds of adventure. People think you're hot, whatever. Like that's pretty amazing. And he sells it. You're right, Ben.
I don't know that I was not creeped out by.
Well, it's still a creepy concept. I just mean
Yeah.
like I don't know. I just feel like Michael J. Fox makes it like workable.
He does.
And I think in lesser hands it would have come across like to an uncomfortable point of not being able to like enjoy the film.
Oh, for sure. And the entire time Marty's like, nope, 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 the whole time, which I think helps as well. The character, like, not, he doesn't enjoy this one bit or anything like that. He's like, no, this is just weird. Get me out of here. But yeah, I think, yeah, in lesser hands, it wouldn't have been as effective. I did like when we are introduced to everything in the past, you see the foundations for how the characters act in the future.
Yes.
Which I think is really, really cool. And whether it be like the shows in there or the fact that you're all huddled around the TV watching dinner or watching around the TV, eating dinner, watching TV and the specific shows or whatever. Like I could see George if he was hit by the car and brought into this house, like him just eating it up in his goofy little self. I'd like, they do a really, really good job. The exposition and stuff is a little ham-fisted at the beginning of the movie, but I think as it plays out, it's done visually, which is super smart and super effective.
One of the things I really like about both of those relate to what you said was like I like that like the family like they are sad sack and they are kind of, you know, a little bit sad to watch when they're in 1985 at the beginning, but like they're still like a family unit. You know what I mean? Like they're not played for like this complete dysfunction. Like there's, you know, still this history to them that you get to know.
For sure.
And then I love when Biff comes into the diner in the 50s and is like McFly and they're both there. Like I love like, I think one of the things the movie does really well is like sometimes when you get to time travel movies, I either feel like movies or TV shows, I either feel like the characters in the movie accept the premise too fast or they are like take it out too long. And I feel like this movie does a nice job of like getting Marty to understand what's going on at like an appropriate amount of time.
I think that's true. He doesn't know what's going on initially, or it's like, oh, I'm just included in this or whatever, because it is so jarring, him making this change. With the diner scene, for example, that's less than 24 hours after he arrives to this place. So, I mean, Amanda can attest, every time I hear a Geoff called out anywhere, doesn't matter where, I'm immediately turning my head. I'm like, oh yeah, it's talking about me. Duh. Especially with the last name like McFly. Like, what? But yeah, it's really well done, especially the scene there at the diner. Everything that's done there in the diner is so cool. Whether it be the fight scene or the introduction to George or anything like that, it's cool. One thing though about the family unit, one thing I did note is that I could tell there was an issue there at the beginning. Like, yes, they're a family unit, but like Lorraine's just swigging vodka at the beginning of the movie. Yeah. So again, visual cues showing, not telling, that if you catch it, it's like, yeah, this is a fine situation, but it's not all perfect. It's not all sunshine and roses. It could be better. Yes, person's in jail, whatever, deadbeat brother, whatever you want to call it. Not really any sort of romantic connection, whatever. So even if you didn't understand like or catch those little details, you could still make out enough with the story to be like, okay, this is fine, but could absolutely be better.
Man, you got nothing to add to this movie?
I mean, not to the specific points y'all are making.
The reward of the rewatch for us.
I do really want to know how Doc and Marty know each other, because I don't just accept that a high schooler is like BFFs with some random scientist man in town. But they don't want to talk about that.
You're right. They don't get into it.
No, not at all.
I feel like Marty, like, you know, he doesn't really want to be around his family. He probably just has skateboarded all around town and somehow became friends with this eccentric inventor.
It's just interesting that they chose not to give even like a sentence. You know what I mean? Like there could have been a singular sentence that was like, you know, oh, remember when we, you know, I taught your science class or something like something. And so I just think it's an interesting point that they just chose to, you know what, you guys are just going to have to accept this. They're friends. The end.
That's the understanding. I just did a quick lookup, and the first theory I found is that there was a book that came out, like the Haynes, what is it called? The Haynes Time Machine Manual. But basically, according to this, the TLDR, this story apparently was first adopted or first told by Robert Zemeckis. Marty broke into Doc's garage trying to get parts for his amp. Instead of calling the cops, Doc hired him to odd jobs since he was smart enough to get past the security system, and the rest is history. I guess this is per Robert Zemeckis. But I think to the point in the movie, it is very funny though, seeing like it's a funny friendship working ship situation that has me curious, but not enough to the extent where I'm like, it's not that I care necessarily after the fact, but I'm more like, oh, that's interesting. Maybe I'd love to learn more. But I think there is a sense of comfort. It's like Marty doesn't really find Doc weird, finds Doc more cool than anything. And it works out well for everybody in the end, thankfully.
I agree. It's not explained well, and they could have probably thrown a sentence or something in, but I'm glad they didn't like get heavy-handed or too much about it. You know, we didn't need a flashback to the meeting. We didn't need, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like this was sort of an approach to movies back then where they were like, just accept it.
Yeah.
And people were like, okay.
They needed that, but
yeah.
It's just watching it with fresh eyes. It's just interesting. That's all.
I do think the movie does a nice job too of like, it's hard to know because it wasn't like an established franchise when this was made, but like how much do they know that things like Doc and the DeLorean were going to be these iconic moments? But it at least plays like they knew it was going to be a big thing, because it's like the reveal of the DeLorean is great, and then finally Doc, like, you know, we hear about Doc, we hear him on the phone, like it's a long time before we actually meet Doc, and then when we do, it's like everything you want him to be. You know, Christopher Lloyd was like the most perfect casting choice for this.
So great. Such a good choice for the character. His makeup, his costume, everything is so rewarding with his reveal, because when he gets out of the car, it's like he looks ridiculous. He sounds crazy. It's like I kind of wanted him to be that way.
I'm going to argue with that point just a hair.
Okay.
In that I don't think his makeup was incredible.
Okay, that's fair.
I think everyone in the 1980s that had old age makeup didn't look right. Like immediately I was like, why does their face look weird? Why do they look like that? And then I had to stop the movie and Google it because it was bothering me so much. Like, and then it was like, oh, because they're gonna go to the past and they need to look like the age that
Right.
they
I mean,
currently
Leah
are when they
Thompson
film
was
the movie.
like in her 20s, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it just like the two parents, Christopher Lloyd, like Biff, those four just looked very weird to me.
Yeah.
They did.
I think
in
it's
the
funny that
80s.
Christopher Lloyd over the years, because like these, you know, like I know like when that 2015 date happened, hey, and Michael J. Fox like showed up on Jimmy Kimmel, like they were appearing in 2015, and they were dressed as Doc and Marty, and like Christopher Lloyd has eventually like, grown into being Doc. I feel like,
Basically.
but like
sure.
it also makes you. It also one thing I will question about the age thing is like, you know, how old do you think Doc's supposed to be in 1955, and how old is he supposed to be in 1985?
That's true.
It doesn't look like 30 years passed between those two looks.
No, not really. I would guess kind of similarly, maybe he's supposed to be in his 40s and then like his 70s.
Yeah.
Feels
But he
right.
looks kind of old for being 40s in the 50s in the 1950s.
Yeah, maybe he's 50s and then 80s, just
Yeah.
like the years.
He's just going crazy.
Yeah, there you go.
They told
that-
us the answer.
The stress of all of the science and travel and whatever has just destroyed him physically. Who knows?
I also, you know, again, this is a 5 out of 5 movie for me, but I do have to call this out because I would on any other movie that I don't like as much. Like, what are we doing to the poor dog?
The what?
The poor dog.
Oh, the poor dog.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I made a note of that too. I was like, how dare you? What,
Like,
your first
we don't know
experiment?
how this was going to work out. We just put the dog in harm's way. And I don't stand for putting the dogs in harm's way.
I know. It's like the dog that got shot off into space by the Soviets. Like, I think, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
The
I
dog's name
was
is
very
like-
upset about that. I was like, how dare he?
The poor dog.
Mm-hmm.
One funny line that Doc, I gotta be careful how I say this, that Doc said was how his family fortune went into science. How rich do we think Doc was?
I feel like
Pretty
he was
rich.
probably rich, but spent his money. You know what I mean?
That's
like,
probably, yeah.
made a lot of money, but spent a lot of money.
Right. I don't know. It's curious. I was just curious. I was like, huh, interesting.
Yeah.
I also think one of the things that's really interesting to watch now in 2025 is like compared to probably how it felt in like the 50s are looked at as so idyllic, you know, like the way the town looks compared to in the 80s. It's like so, you know, Norman Rockwell, perfect little town. And then the 80s are so like grungy and gross. But like now, like we have that feeling about the 80s, you know, like things like Stranger Things or whatever. Like people are like, wow, if only things could be like they were in the 80s. And I'm sure at the time, I mean, we talked about this a little bit with Midnight in Paris, but like at the time, the 80s seemed like the gross modern feel and compared to the quaint 50s. But now I feel like people feel that like they could do a 2025 to 1985 you know, thing, and it would probably have a similar like quaintness feel to it.
Right.
Yeah, there would just be self-driving cars everywhere and delivery robots.
One thing about the 50s that stood out to me is how creepy people were. Like some of the guys were like, George McFly is a freak. And Biff is incredibly problematic. And yeah, it's not great. And even like Marty, the first thing he says to Lorraine when he wakes up in the past, he's like, You're so thin. Like, come on, man. You don't say those kind of things. Like, watch it. Can't call somebody out there.
Like not thin in the 80s.
Right.
Like I don't know what he's talking about, but yeah, it's 80s mindset for you right there. One thing this movie did make me say a lot was, when was that invented? Because I was like, puffer vests, skateboards, Pepsi, like sugar-free soda. I don't understand. So there were a couple different things that I had to look up and be like, when was that actually invented?
Yeah, I made a note.
Like Robert Zemeckis has a thing for like characters transforming culture, you know, like there's some Forrest Gump comparisons here for sure. Like, you know, I mean, because it's one thing to like impact his family, but another thing to like, you know, impact Chuck Berry.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Skateboards.
Right. I'm like, did Marty McFly? One of my notes was, did Marty McFly invent the skateboard technically, or at least like lay the foundations down?
And that's actually for me the part that works the least, because it does feel like it's getting into Forrest Gump territory.
Yeah.
Like the impact on his family, I think, is super well constructed and totally like buying how like little things along the way can change that family unit for within that town. But some of the like more national things, I'm kind of like, okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it was very ham-fisted there during the dance scene where Marvin calls Chuck Berry and was phone, like, hey, Chuck, it's Marvin.
Yeah.
Marvin Berry, your cousin. Like and I'm like, okay, time out. I didn't know who performed the song Trying to Do Good. So I was like, all right, look it up. I'm like, oh, all right, well, there we go. All right, we're really like driving this in right now.
Maybe that's where he got the idea for Forrest Gump. He's like, I got to do a whole movie about that kind of stuff.
Right? It's like, man, this movie really worked. Yeah, people love this movie. Jeez.
Well, also, that was definitely not Michael J. Fox singing Johnny Be Good.
Oh, no, for sure not.
That was another one.
Michael J. Fox has such a unique voice, too, like speaking voice.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things in the musical, the kid doing the part was like if you honestly just even search like a Back to the Future trailer of the Broadway musical, and the second you hear Marty talk, you'll be like, he is definitely doing a Michael J. Fox impression. It's like a theme park ride instead of a Broadway musical.
It's amazing.
And because like it's such a distinct voice that that Michael J. Fox has, that is just like, when you see it, you're like, oh,
yeah,
for sure.
I've never really thought about it, but I'm gonna watch the trailer.
I will say, again, I'm not trying to tie it to the musical; it's just fresh in my head because I saw it twice last year. But the one thing that the musical does better, there's only one thing, and then when I watched the movie back, I was like, oh yeah, this was actually better in the musical. Was the Earth Angel into the kiss moment. Such a theatrical moment on stage. Like they're blowing bubbles into the audience, which is super cool. Which inspired me to do that for one of my productions of Seussical afterwards. But they're blowing bubbles into the audience, and then like the way it swells into that chorus of Earth Angel, and then they kiss. Like you can imagine on a stage how that plays.
Incredible.
Absolutely.
And it was just like a real magical moment. And here I feel like I think partly because it's played so comedic with Marty immediately like jumping up, you know what I mean? Like I feel like it's not played with the sweetness that's played in the musical.
And that's one of the tricky things with movies as well, with the camera. Like, where do you prioritize? Because your entire movie is centered around Marty, but you have this incredibly sweet romantic moment building up that is the emotional climax of the movie, technically. And the emotional climax of the movie doesn't even involve our main character. Like, how do you prioritize that?
Yeah.
Because you've spent the whole movie trying to, with your relationship tied to Marty.
Right. Whereas in the musical, you can see them and Marty. You can see it both.
Right. Exactly. The beauty of the stage. Yeah.
Yeah. I saw this set IRL, the clock tower.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's at the Universal Studios Hollywood studio tour.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I was like, I've never seen this movie, but I know it. I was looking at my pictures and I was like, oh yeah, like there's the whole like town square.
I was gonna say I've not been on the Universal one, but I went on the Warner Brothers studio tour, and like that town definitely is giving backlot vibes. Like it's like such a film backlot kind of look.
That town looks so picturesque, almost too picturesque.
1000%. I was also telling Geoff, I'm convinced I would have to do more research to prove that I'm right. But I'm convinced that one of the streets they were filming on when they were kind of doing the Marty gets hit by the car scene and etc. I'm convinced that street is the same street that they filmed part of Halloween on. And I need, because there was like a hedge, and I'm like, I swear that is the same hedge that Michael Myers stands behind.
Yep.
And it wouldn't surprise me if it was. I'm sure they use a lot of the same streets and everything. But
when you go to Warner Brothers, it's like the star, like the downtown is Stars Hollow, and also River City from the Music Man. It's
yeah, we're gonna do that this summer. Does anyone have any final thoughts before we move on to our recommendations?
If I may,
yes.
I want to emphasize this enough that the ending works so well, because there were multiple times that I wrote this down while watching the movie, how much I hated George, how unrewarding this payoff was going to be at the end, how they were going to really have to sell this for me at the end of this movie. Thankfully they did, but George is quite literally the worst. And I know that it's not necessarily his or whatever, that's how the character is portrayed and blah, 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 but like, just everything about him is so frustrating. And I know that's the point, but like the whole time, it's just like, oh my gosh, dude, you suck. Like, this is so bad. But the moment that he finally stands up to Biff is just so rewarding based on all of this annoying crap that happens the entire movie beforehand. I was just like, oh my gosh. So yeah, George went from one of my most hated characters I've ever seen in a movie to like, all right, this guy's pretty cool. This is good. This is rewarding. Everything pays off.
And I like too that like when they go to the future, like, or when they're back in 1985 at the end, like they're not like Biff is obviously like kind of a loser, but like they don't treat him horribly. Like,
yeah,
they're just like, oh, there's Biff, whatever. Like, I think it makes the parents seem more likable too, to not have them like be like these snooty jerks to Biff or something like that.
Yeah, that's fair.
The only other things I was going to say was I feel like the effects are very good for 1985.
They are very good.
I think they're very impressive throughout. There was nothing to me even now that felt like, oh, that really looks lame. And then
which is crazy because they rushed the timeline for this movie.
Yeah,
I was reading something that like the end timeline for this movie was pushed up, and so they couldn't finish everything the way that they wanted to. And like some of it looks silly, but like it's 90% of it is great VFX.
Yeah. And the other thing I was going to say is obviously I think probably the most famous line from the movie is "Where we're going, we don't need roads." But my favorite line, which segues nicely when we get to it, of our top four, is "But your kids are gonna love it."
Oh yeah,
like I think that's just such a great,
it's a good line,
a great line.
The idea too, when he's talking to Lorraine and George and talking about like, oh yeah, when you have kids and your 8-year-old son sets fire to the carpet, go easy on them. I would be so, maybe they are just so caught up in love, but I would be so terrified. I'd be
Not
like,
until it actually happens.
I know. I'm like,
you'd be extra terrified.
Well, yeah, that's one of the things. And I was going to talk about a little bit with our top fours here at the end, but like when you're introducing ideas and stuff to the past, like if you're going back in time, you have to be so careful because there is the element of scaring people, much like with the DeLorean showing up in the garage or whatever, or
Right.
Marty standing over George in the bed wearing the radiation protection suit. Yeah, you got to be so careful about what you do because you're going to scare people. And I don't know if that's what you want to try and do.
Like it's such a tense moment again, like the Libyans, whatever. But like
Mhm.
when they go, when they're racing down the street and he runs out to the mall and like sees himself there, I feel like it's such a cool moment. Like you realize like where we are in the timeline. Like for someone who doesn't, enjoy science fiction and multiple timeline kind of things, this is a pretty easy one to follow. I feel like they let the dumb people like me, like, they don't make it hard on you to understand what's happening and where we are with things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely.
One last thing is that, Ben, you called out the cool like special effects and VFX and whatever on this movie. It was not nominated for Best VFX. The movie that won Best VFX that year is called, actually, I've never heard of this movie. It's called Cocoon, which was directed by Ron Howard from
It's like
1985.
I've definitely heard of it. It's
Yeah,
like
I
a
think I've
horror
heard of it.
mystery kind of.
Group of elderly people rejuvenated by aliens.
Hmm.
All right. It also nominated that year was Return to Oz, a dark fantasy film from Walt Disney, directed by Walter Murch. I'm guessing it's about an unofficial sequel to The Wizard of Oz. There we go.
Return to Oz, for good.
And then Young Sherlock Holmes, directed by Barry Levinson. This film is notable for being the first full-length film to feature a completely computer-generated character created by Lucasfilms' graphics group. So that's why that movie got nominated for Best VFX and not something like Back to the Future.
Oh, I have one more thing to say. Like, I know the second and third films were not as well received critically and by fans. I'm shocked that in the 30 plus years that this has stayed in the public consciousness that they have not rebooted this franchise.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm glad, but I'm just shocked.
Yeah.
Like somebody must be blocking it, whether 100%. It's like Robert Zemeckis or I don't know. I don't know who has the rights to block it, but there's no way like a property that's had this much, staying power wouldn't try to get rebooted.
The musical is like the most they could reboot it. The closest.
I guess so. Yeah.
It's Michael J. Fox for Lloyd. They're the ones blocking it.
But I hope they don't. Like, not everything needs to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, okay. I was just reading. It says Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale hold strong veto power, and they've actively refused because they view the trilogy as a perfect, complete story.
Yep. I would. Okay.
All right. Good for them.
Yep.
So I guess after they die, it'll probably be open to the public.
On their deathbed, it's like their one dying or their wishes for like Steven Spielberg, depending on how old Spielberg is and how long he is alive or whatever. Donna Langley is the head of creative and stuff at Universal. That's their wish to her. Be like, don't
do it.
You just have like a never-ending contract with I don't know what entity.
I don't know. Like, will their estates have like a say in it? I don't know. That's
yeah.
I don't know. Legal rights are always such a.
We'll have to find out someday.
But I'm okay. I'm okay with it not getting.
Getting
redone.
Agreed. All right. Well, let's move into our recommendations. Geoff, why don't you quickly give us your movie recs?
I'm going to start with the most obvious number one imaginable, Forrest Gump, I think, with this, where, hey, time jumping Zemeckis. I feel like when we talked about Forrest Gump as well, I don't have a note about it. And I don't know if we were doing movie recommendations when we recorded our Forrest Gump episode, but I feel like Back to the Future would have been tied in with that very neatly, as probably would be my next movie, which is Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, which is time jumping adventures from the 80s. And that one is silly, kind of in the same sort of silliness camp as this one, and that one is actually people mess around with history and everything. But I think that would be a good fit for this movie. And then the third one is a newer movie. It is not at all a science fiction, time jumping movie, whatever. It is a documentary called Still, which is on Apple TV Plus, and it is the Michael J. Fox documentary. And it talks a lot about the impact this movie had on his life and his career. And then after he got diagnosed with Parkinson's and the fallout from that and how he's had to change his life based on that and the roles that he's taken. And I think that Michael J. Fox is so important to this movie. And I know that this movie was so important to him and the way his career ended up. To learn more about him and his life and the life that has kind of followed him after this movie, I think is fascinating. And yeah, so I would recommend that one for sure.
Great. And Ben, any TV recommendations?
Yeah, well, sticking with the Michael J. Fox, I'm going to start with Family Ties, which this was famously, Family Ties would not let him out of his contract to do this movie. And the only way they got around it was he would film Family Ties and rehearse for Family Ties during the day and then do Back to the Future overnight for weeks, I believe, like at a time, or maybe even months, where he was doing double duty of Family Ties and this movie. So I actually don't love Family Ties, but I really like him in it. And then the other, to stick with our actors here, Christopher Lloyd, is Taxi, which features another just completely bonkers Christopher Lloyd performance. in Taxi, he plays Taxis ran from the late 70s to the early 80s, and he plays Jim Ignatowski, who's a cab driver, but a former hippie who is just like real spaced out. And very much an effect of the 60s and many drugs that he took in the 60s. And the character is just wild and not really at all like Doc, but is also Christopher Lloyd just being so kooky and so crazy. So both those sitcoms, great sitcoms. Taxi is a better show than Family Ties, but if you like Michael J. Fox, Family Ties is great.
That reminded me, the year, so Back to the Future came out in 1985. You know what also came out in 1985? Another Christopher Lloyd movie, Clue.
Yeah, there you go. And if I may, I have a TV recommendation that I haven't actually watched, but I mentioned it earlier. Rick and Morty. I mean, it's a young guy scientist traveling through time adventures. I think if you have watched Back to the Future, you are probably into Rick and Morty.
One of my a meme I quite enjoy is, I'm not a big Rick and Morty guy. I haven't watched too many episodes, but one of my favorite memes comes from Rick and Morty, which is when they're back from some adventure. Their ship is all beat up. They look ragged as all hell. And they're both sitting there in the cockpit. They're both like, and then all of a sudden they both just start screaming. I feel like that meme got used a lot with various Bills games last season, especially when they were more tense or up and down or whatever, where it's like the experience of a Bills fan after every win. I think it was probably the Ravens playoff game last year, but it was just like, or whatever the meme goes, but it's pretty great. I know I need to check out Rick and Morty.
All right. Well, that leads us into our top 4. So very a la Back to the Future, we're talking about things we would bring back to the 50s with us if we were time traveling. So, Geoff, why don't you give us your list first?
Okay. So this one was tough because, like I kind of hinted at earlier in this episode, I wanted to try to walk a tightrope between scaring people and enticing people. So I feel like if I brought a cell phone back in time with me, 70 years into the past, that's going to horrify some people. Or I bring back like specific like devices like computers or anything like that, again, might be scaring people a little bit. So I went with simple. I wanted to start simple so that it wouldn't kind of like destroy everybody or whatever. It's like, okay, maybe I'll lay the foundation for a couple fun things that are small, such as, number 4 being various beverages, things around like zero, kind of along lines of like Pepsi free, but maybe some different sparkling waters, or maybe even the alcoholic kinds, like some fun different beverages there. So that way Lorraine doesn't have to just keep swigging or get the inspiration to just swig like cough syrup in the car or vodka at 30 years down the road. Like, oh, why don't you slip in like some, high noons or something like that? Spice it up there and really get people excited about various different beverages. And maybe by the time that I'm back in the 21st century, we have some fun ones coming out of it. Number 3 would be various sports, but small sports, kind of in the vein like what Marty McFly did with the skateboard. I would want to see like pickleball brought back to like the 50s. Let's set up like a various like pickleball court on some tennis country club courts or something. Let's have some fun there. I don't know. I think it could be fun. I think it could get exciting and people would pick up on it. And I don't know, could be fun. Could make it real lucrative for me as we go back in time. Number 2, TV was just starting to take off. And I know the radio has had a really big influence at this time. Especially, I keep thinking back. I don't remember when Orson Welles did the whole War of the Worlds thing on the radio, but I feel like you have the potential to do something dangerous with podcasting in the 50s and embracing the radio and really make it mainstream to the point where Joe Rogan and Theo Von aren't cool anymore in the 21st century. And you know what? That'd be fine. So I'm bringing back some podcasting equipment and getting that whole idea around there. And then number 1 is, Doc talked about it a little bit in the movie, but you know what? I'm going to include it there. Knowledge of sporting events. But here's the deal. I'm not going to throw $1 million on a team to win the World Series. That is a odds adjusting, betting adjusting kind of thing. Like I'm finding something random and throwing $20 on something that is very unlikely to happen, like a random player hitting a home run or whatever. I'm not going to throw my life savings onto this team winning the World Series because then everything gets really crazy. But we're going to find small things. We're going to find small ways to make my money back then. So, and to the extent where the world isn't shifting and the world isn't whatever when the results end up happening, I'm just a little richer. So that's what I'm doing. Kind of small
if you
things.
know what's going to happen, why not put all your money on it?
Well, it's one of those tricky things where it's like, then you got the whole Black Sox deal of like the early game days of baseball where people know about things or they're rigging the books. Like I could get people sent to jail. I don't want to cause a stir. I don't want to do anything crazy.
A little extra money.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I don't listen. Like they say at the movie, you don't want to cause too many life-altering events.
That's true.
I mean, yeah, sure.
Hey, maybe being a bookie is not as fast-paced as it is today, but I feel like in today's world, if there's something like a life-altering amount of money put on something, there's news caused, odds shift like crazy. We have some conversations, that stuff comes out in the news. Maybe I'm just affected by that to the point where I'm just like, okay, I'll just stick with the small, like super underdog things that I know is going to happen or something. That's what I would do.
Good list, Geoff.
You don't have to say good list. You don't have to say good list.
It was a good list. Ben, let's hear yours.
So mine start kind of innocuous, but then get progressively serious. My number 4, I was trying to think like, well, okay, I agree with Geoff. Like, I don't think I'd bring like something internet related back because like, why ruin those poor people from the 50s with the internet and social media and things like that? So, but I'm like, what's, thinking about Marty and his rock and roll, like what's like a thing I could show them of a hint of what's to come and what's to evolve. And this is going to sound so lame, but I was like, you know what? I would like people who invented theater in the 50s to know how it would evolve. I would let them listen to Hamilton.
Oh, I like that.
And, let Rodgers and Hammerstein and young Stephen Sondheim and all that, see where the art form is going to evolve.
Ew,
I love that idea.
All of our musicals ended up sounding like Hamilton.
Yeah, that's fair. Number 3, this is a little bit internet adjacent, but GPS. I mean, like nobody our age knows. This is where I'm the most my age. Like, I can drive like to places I've been before, but like I cannot pull out a map and follow it, or an atlas. Like thinking of my dad, like when we were kids, drawing like the route on the atlas kind of thing, and right, like like I can't do it. Like I need the GPS. So if even just for me getting around, if I was back in time, I think I need the GPS. Number 2 is home videos and the ability to record home videos. Because I think that's something that, we don't have from the 50s and 60s much except for really grainy, and I like if there's better equipment to do that, I think that would be fun to see. Things from like our parents' childhood and things like that. And it wouldn't be that hard because they had the equipment to do it professionally, just not in the home.
Mm-hmm.
But number 1, like I said, this is like a serious answer, so apologies. But it is something called the Kasai procedure, which is what my son had at 2 months old. And it was invented, I believe, in the 50s, but not used widely until the 1960s. And before that, babies who were born with what my son has did not live past 2 years old. And it is still the gold standard, even though it was from that era. For helping babies make it who are born with their liver and their bile ducts not connected. So obviously that to me is the best invention ever made, and I'd be happy to help 50s babies. Now I'm not going to perform the procedure myself, but be happy to help babies from the 50s be able to live like my son.
I love that
because of the Kasai procedure.
So I love that so much.
10 more years of saved babies.
That's right.
I love that, dude. That's awesome.
Nice. Good list. My list, I feel like, is all. It's not great, guys. I wasn't. I didn't know what to put, and I was not happy with the things that I did put.
It couldn't be worse than mine. So
mine, I was not really thinking about whether or not I wanted to change stuff in the future or not. So, or I wasn't concerned about scaring people. So
you're just like a personal pleasure in the 50s.
Just like, I don't know, what could blow their minds? Like, what could
check this out?
What could give me the most personal gain? Like, so the first thing is a collection of patents. Is what I would bring, and I would definitely, invent a couple things that, I mean, otherwise I wouldn't know how to make. But
that's smart.
Get in on the ground floor on a couple of really key inventions that would pretty much set me up for the rest of my life. That would be nice. Number 3 is a history book. I think it would be very interesting to be like, guys, look at what happens. Stop it now. You have the power.
I was about to say we're in the early stages of the Cold War. I'm trying to think what else, but yeah, there's stuff that's coming up.
Yeah, they could do something about it. Instead of a cell phone, I'll dial it back a little bit. Okay. I'll bring the older technology. I'll just bring an iPod. I think they would be super into the iPod, and it would blow their minds just the appropriate amount. Instead of being like, here's a whole computer and a thing, and you don't even know what a computer is. Like, be like, here's the thing where all your music can live and you can listen to it. And then my number 1, which, Geoff, you said this, but mine is not as restrained as yours. I'm bringing a catalog of all of the winners of the past 30 years. Well, more than 30 years, at this point. But I'm bringing all the winners of every sporting event ever. And I mean, am I going to put like $1 million on each and every one of them? No, but I'm also not going to put just $20.
You're like, I want to be the richest person in the world.
Yeah, exactly. Like every year I will bet on the Super Bowl and the World Cup and the Stanley Cup and the FIFA Cup, whatever, like all of them. And I will put a decent chunk of money on every single one, and I will get money. And that's my list.
Ben, I love how your number 1 was so heartfelt, and then for both of us, like, we're getting ours and getting out.
Like, I'm gonna save babies, and it's like, I'm gonna get rich.
Well, I didn't know, Ben. Fine, we can bring back medically technology to save lives. I'm all for it.
Amanda's gonna use her earnings to.
There you go. No, wait, because I said patents, so we'll make those medical patents too.
Okay.
For like drugs and vaccines, and
they're gonna all be your patents.
Well, I'll give them to the scientists. And
yeah, watch out.
They can develop them.
Let's say, watch out there. Yeah.
It's fine. It'll be fine. All right. Well, that brings us to the end of our Back to the Future episode. We hope that y'all enjoyed. Be sure to tune in next week. We will be continuing with Amanda Hasn't Seen That Month, and we'll be watching Get Smart. So if you would like to watch along, be sure to watch that and tune in. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider leaving us a rating or review, and be sure to follow us on all our social channels. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see y'all next week.
To infinity and beyond!
Why so serious?
I am serious, and don't call me Shook.
We're not worthy! We're not worthy!
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
I said it before and I'll say it again. Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.